Today, we bring you the grand finale of the 2024 Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series live from stunning Sydney, Australia, and what a season it's been. One of the most electrifying in the 15-year history of the World Series. I'm Trace Worthington, joined here by cliff diving expert and proud Aussie Joey Zuber. For only the second time ever, the World Series lands in Sydney. Nice weather, the crowd is roaring, it is big, and we are ready for a thrilling final stop. Joey, you Aussies know how to put on a great party.
Oh, we do it in style, right? So it's the finale, we want to do it right.
Well, we had a big season so far, 8 stops. It began in Athens, Greece, one of 3 new locations for the World Series. The Causeway Coast of Northern Ireland and Montreal, Canada, were the other 2, a great mix of urban and off-the-cliff locations. And Joey, it's pretty cool to see the final stop once again here in Sydney, where, by the way, we will see Rhiannan Iffland receive her 8th King Kaikili Trophy. We'll talk about that momentarily, but a huge battle on the men's side. That is one of the guys in contention for the King Kaikili Trophy for 2024, Konstantin Popovich. He was last year's champion, but he has to contend with this guy right now, World Series point leader, Aiden Heslop. And Joey, the race for the men's title has been dramatic. It went from 3 guys down to 2 as of yesterday. Right. But right now, it's Aiden Heslop's championship to lose. He's sitting 16 points ahead of James Lichtenstein, who had a rough day yesterday, 19 points ahead of the reigning champ, Konstantin Popovich. And remember, the maximum points up for grabs, including that critical bonus point, is 21. So, Joey, what's your take on how this is all going to play out? A lot changed yesterday.
It did, and it was a very unexpected day yesterday. And as you were saying, it was supposed to be James Lichtenstein who's supposed to be the main challenger, and he really had a disappointing competition. He's out. He spun out on the last turn. His chances are done. But Konstantin Popovich, like you said, he's 19 points behind Aiden. So if Konstantin Popovich wins the competition, and if Aiden Heslop comes last, but Konstantin Popovich would have to get that highest scoring dive to take the King Kaikili off Aiden Heslop, but that is very, very unlikely.
Rhiannan Iffland right there from Australia has had 6 weeks to think about where to put another King Kaikili trophy and how she's going to celebrate here on her home soil after earning enough points. At the last stop here in Antalya, Turkey, secured her 8th consecutive championship title, Joey Zuber, a league of her own.
She's a once-in-a-century type of athlete. I mean, yes, she has 8 King Kaikili trophies to her name, but you can see how much this series meant to her. I mean, the athletes, all of them go through so much turmoil. She had some slip-ups in some previous competitions, and I know that was probably plaguing her mind, but she pushed through, and it's got to feel so good to be in front of the home crowd, knowing you're going to hold that King Kaikili trophy today.
And in terms of the rest of the women's field, Molly Carlson not diving today. She has a knee injury, but still has enough points to lock in 2nd place for this entire season. The 3rd time in a row that she's been the runner-up on the World Series points. From there, the points are tight, with ranks 3 and 4 in the overall being highly contested, as 5 divers are separated by just 10 points. And remember, top 4 in the overall rankings after today means automatic qualification for 2025. Xanthia Panisi getting warmed up from Australia. The fans are here to see her.
I'm running this way.
And again, it has been a wonderful, long season. And if you're new to Red Bull Cliff Diving, we're going to get you up to speed on how it all works and the 2024 competition format. Check it out.
Each Red Bull Cliff Diving event features 8 permanent and 4 wildcard divers per gender. There are 4 rounds of diving with varying levels of difficulty. The panel of 5 judges has less than 3 seconds to evaluate the parts of each dive. The judges then award scores from 0 to 10. The highest and lowest scores are eliminated, and the remaining 3 added together. This total, multiplied by the degree of difficulty, gives the dive score. And all 4 dives are added together for the event score. Finally, series points are awarded at every event, with a bonus point for the best dive of the competition. At the end of the series, The divers with the highest series points are awarded the King Kahikili Trophy.
And only 2 women and 5 men have won the trophy in the 14 completed years of the World Series. As we look at young Stella Forsyth, only 17 years old, a wild card diver in her debut here in Sydney, Australia, in front of a very big crowd. Nelly Chukhanivska, another wild card diver from Ukraine, getting warmed up. The wild card divers, we'll talk about that, doing very well this season. Let's talk about round 1. Leading into this 4th and final round today, Joey.
And speaking of Nelly Chukhanivska, with a really unique back somersault in the pike position, as we just said, a mere 17 years of age, her 4th competition. Right now, after 3 rounds of diving, she's sitting in 2nd place, 10 points behind the one and only Rhiannan Iffland. I mean, this is just wild to watch. Will we see another wildcard hit the podium? That is the question.
Yeah.
And the other wildcard, Stella Forsyth from Australia, as you said, Trace, her debut competition. I mean, absolutely killing that dive. She's from my hometown. I mean, she only got a list from 20 meters together in September, and to be diving this well in her first competition, especially on home soil, is just remarkable. Round 3, then we can't go past Rhiannan Iffland. And this is her 1.5 twisting triple. Just a slight miscalculation on the entry. But with that great performance in round 1 and round 2, she now leads the competition after 3 rounds of diving. But as I just said before, it's fantastic to see the wildcards diving so well. And speaking of Rhiannan Iffland once more, hopefully she can win the competition here, just to cap it off. That's the way you want to do it, right?
And of course, 3 of the 4 rounds have concluded. All 4 rounds count, so everything is super important. There's Kaylee Arnett getting warmed up. She will dive first of the field of 11 women, usually 12, as I mentioned. Molly Carlson removed from the competition. Slight knee injury, nothing major, just precautionary. As we look at our judges panel, floating around in the boat out there. Not easy to sit out in that pontoon boat. But we have Anke Piper of Germany. She's our head judge. Antonio Martinez. Simone Latimer. Jeff Arbin from Australia. Ran into him this morning, had a little breakfast.
Yeah, you suffer some seasickness, so we wish him all the best. No, I'm kidding.
And Cyril Amechkon of France. So welcome to the judges, and 23 degrees Celsius, 74 degrees Fahrenheit is the air. So beautiful weather in terms of the temperatures, Joey, but the wind is the big factor. Everybody's talking about that. It wasn't that windy yesterday, but now you have that wind, you have a lot of the waves and the circling water flowing through the harbor here as we look at the start list. 3 Americans will kick it off. So it's the lowest scores from the 3 rounds previously that will kick things off. So Kaylee will begin. We have Xanthia Panisi of Australia, along with Stella Forsyth right there in the mix. And of course, Rhiannan Iffland. What stands out to you, Joey?
Well, Nelly Chukhanivska and also Simone Leadhead. I mean, we could see another wildcard. We've seen 5 different wildcards make the podium. This could be 6 if Nelly Chukhanivska makes it here on the podium, and it's within her grasp. She's got about 3.7 with her DD and Simone Leadhead as well, so it will be interesting. But that point spread from, let's say, 7th up to 4th and 3rd place is pretty tight. It's only about 5 points between all of them, so it will be an interesting competition. You may see that leaderboard and those positions change up a bit as we look at the entertainer, Kaylee Arnett.
Kaylee Arnett will kick things off for us, folks, for the 4th and final round, dancing it up on the women's platform, which is 21 meters, 70 feet above the Sydney Harbor. Today marks only her 5th ever start on the World Series, and she's hit the podium 3 out of 4 starts, currently putting her into 3rd in the overall World Series rankings. That's the good news. The bad news is she's at the bottom of the result list coming into this 4th round.
Yeah, she just had a little slip up in round 1, and it only just takes that little split-second mistake. She just over-rotated. Now she's chasing a tailor a little bit up. We know she's a very capable diver, right? So her first competition, placed 2nd, then 2nd again in Polignano Mare, and a 3rd in Montreal.
You can hear the wind.
Yeah, man, it's howling.
Joey, you can get into that here momentarily and tell us how difficult that is to deal with.
Especially with these inward dives. Just look at her feet. She's only got half her feet on the platform.
All right, not bad.
Nice.
So the 31-year-old American, Kaylee Arnett, kicks off the 4th round here in Sydney, Australia. And no matter what and where she sits on that leaderboard, bottom of the pack right now, she's always having a good time.
Oh, that she is. So that's definitely a bit of redemption for Kaylee Arnett on this particular dive. As I said earlier, just a few missed dives there. But I just love her attitude when she stands on the platform. You can just see the intensity and that confidence in her face. Like, right, come on, let's do this. Very difficult dive, the inward triple pike. And that's a dive where actually the feet come quite close to the platform. As she climbs out of the water. Did some beautiful Sydney Harbour.
Did some rodeos, some barrel racing back in the day. Comes from a family of daredevils. Her grandfather was inducted into the Texas Hall of Fame for sprint car and dirt racing as Kaylee Arnett comes in with a 93.60 on that final dive. 287.35, and she is elated and probably relieved after a very long season.
Absolutely.
A lot of emotions. She lost a great friend of hers just a couple of days ago, and Orlando Duque, our Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series sports director, looking on. Orlando, he's the man. He's got a lot of titles, 13 world titles. Legend, pioneer.
It's time for your second diver this afternoon.
We've been reading a lot about Kaylee Arnett. She's had a very interesting past. She's had her own struggles with her mother as well, and obviously losing her friend is very tough indeed. I'm sure she did that dive in tribute to her. Wishing you all the best, Kaylee Arnett, and to the family as well.
Moving on, second diver of 11 on the women's side, 4th round, 36-year-old Maylee Carpenter of the USA. Another diver in the women's field who's within striking distance of automatically securing a permanent diver spot for next season. And Joey, talk about this wind. You can hear it. I mean, look at the banners. It is howling out there.
The worst part is when the gusts pick up and you can see Maylee Carpenter's heart rate. That's real time. That's live. So they have a heart monitor on their arm quite often.
That wind creates a little more of a heart rate.
A little more anxiety before the dive.
All right.
And I say a little, a lot. This is where it's challenging. When it starts to pick up, you can see that direction of the wind there in the right-hand corner. There's your wind meter. 21 miles per hour. I mean, that's up there. Quite a big dive for Maylee Carpenter. High degree of difficulty.
Yeah, you can see the white caps in the background, Joey. Sorry.
Oof. We've got to be also conscious of the fact when those big ferries and some of the larger boats, there's also cruise ships that come by. We've seen some quite big waves, and we were down on the dock a few days ago, and it got pretty choppy down there. It's not easy for the athletes.
Standing out on the edge of that platform, 21 meters, 70 feet above the Sydney Harbor. All right, so Maylee Carpenter goes quickly and manages that nicely, Joey. No splash on that landing. It's not always about the entry into the water, as I'm sure you'll get into. It's about everything from the takeoff and the execution, the whole package deal. You got to check all the boxes.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, let's go into that story. So the judges, they're looking at the execution of the dive, not the difficulty, right? So they look at the takeoff, they look at the flight, they look at the entry, then it's multiplied by the degree of difficulty. In this case, very high DD. You can see how the wind's bothering her. And you can see that she can put her hand up to the judges.
Sure.
And that's saying, hey, I'm feeling a strong wind. I need to step back. I need to regroup and get set. Now, we saw an interesting thing yesterday with Andrea Barnaba. We'll get into that in more detail. But if it wasn't windy, you'd get a balk. You'd get a 2-point deduction. But because it's very windy today, you can just step back and say, give me a moment to regroup and balance myself. In the sport of diving, for example, right, the Olympics, it's always indoors. Not always, but most often, 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of the diving community, when it comes time to dive in these conditions, they can barely do it. It's very tough.
5 judges score between 1 and 10 each, but the high and the low are tossed, and the remaining 3 are multiplied by the degree of difficulty. So Maylee Carpenter comes in with a 94 on that dive. So roll up into first with a 291. So Carpenter
I'm pretty
Second
sure
to
the
go
entire
of
camera
11.
crew all around the platform couldn't hear me count.
Second to go. So Carpenter with a decent score. We move on to our next diver, another American, Ellie Smart. Today marks her 38th start on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series since she made her debut at the age of 21 back in 2017. Just turned 29 on the 21st of October. One of the most experienced and diverse divers in the women's field today. So we talk about this wind and the current, the waves and the water kind of mixing up and soupy. Joey, one person who can manage that nicely is Ellie Smart.
Yeah, she does a lot of athlete projects where she's diving off different waterfalls and other challenging environments. So the only arm stand dive in competition. Ellie Smart looking relatively calm with 96 BPM.
I wouldn't want to do this with the wind going.
Check this out. Very interesting way of setting herself up for a handstand, cartwheeling in. A few more shakes. Regain balance. Oof. Okay, so this is interesting. So that normally will be considered as a balk. What is a balk? So when you press into the handstand, and once your feet leave the platform, now if they come back down again and your feet touch the platform, you get a 2-point deduction from the judges. I'm not entirely sure how they're going to take this, considering that it's very windy. So that will be at the discretion of the referee and sports director.
Another risk versus reward situation.
Correct, Amondo. Right? Excellent point there. So if you want to be in the running. Okay, confirmation from the referee, no balk. As I said before, that is because of the wind. They take that into consideration. Very challenging for the athletes to deal with these gusty winds.
Fired up. Ellie Smart, 3 to go of 11 in the women's field. We are in the 4th and final round. 3 rounds have already concluded over the past 2 days. All 4 rounds are added together, all the scores.
See Ellie giving that big pep talk. Again, this is 21 meters, 70 feet up.
Big how to get fired up. About the ankles, taped, cliff diving, high diving, not easy on the feet and the ankles.
No, she does have a condition like carpal tunnel syndrome, so she gets a bit of nerve pain in the feet, so some of that strapping might be to combat that as well. But we knew we were going to see this today. We were talking about it before the show. Once the wind picks up, a bit of swell, it was inevitable that we'd have some delays, especially with the arm stand dives.
There you go, Ellie. Getting it done. Big dive. A big moment for the American, 29 years old. What an impressive dive, Joe. If you're new to this sport, you're seeing somebody like Ellie up there, 21 meters, 70 feet above the water.
Yeah, and sometimes
an arm stand like
exactly.
that. Wow.
A lot of people ask us, man, these athletes must have no fear. No, that is not the case. Every time they stand on the platform, they always feel those nerves, and you always get more nervous when you're diving in conditions like these. For example, Northern Ireland earlier this year was very hard for some of the athletes. I mean, Simone Leadhead found it very difficult when it's cold and windy. Here's her arm stand there. You can see that overbalance. See the legs there? That's it. Lost the balance there. She's got to come back down again. And once you've done that, the mental side of it is so hard to reset and recalibrate and get yourself set for the dive. I dare say she's feeling very relieved after her arm stand dive. So the 4th and final round, or the round 3 and round 4, is all about degree of difficulty. Right, so you really want to push the degree of difficulty, but you've got to get good execution as well. There's no point doing the difficult dives unless you get the execution right.
She's had a tough season, Joey, in terms of results compared to years past. In fact, she'll need a huge result today in order to qualify as a permanent diver for 2025. You can still hear the wind going out there, and 283.10 is when you It's what you get when you add all 4 rounds of diving together. So Ellie Smart relieved. I was talking to her and having a little breakfast with her a couple days ago, and just wants this season to end. It's been long for everybody.
Yeah.
All right, coming up next, Maria Paula Quintero, 24-year-old Colombian, currently number 7 in the World Series standings at 44 points, so 10 points behind Kaylee Arnett, who's in 3rd. So again, another diver who has a shot at upgrading into the top 4 with a good result today. Oh, wow, Quintero. Excellent dive.
Nice work. No matter where you go, you always find Colombian fans in the crowd.
Yeah.
They always come out.
True.
Papa.
All right, sending love to the Colombian fans out there and all the Aussie fans. Nice dive.
Absolutely. Inward triple half. Again, difficult under these particular conditions. Now, in these dives, what's crazy is you have to come quite close to the platform. Watch this. Throwing the arms, and you come in within centimeters of the platform. But if you don't do that, you run the risk of not having enough rotation. But of course, you want to get that balance right. You don't want to be too close to the platform. You don't want to be too far away. If you've got that nice sweet spot, it makes it easy to finish those rotations and better for the scores for the judges.
We wait for the judges' scores.
I do speak a bit of Spanish. Saying, I love you, Dad. That was for you.
289, Joey. 289.75 puts her into 2nd. Somebody, Joey, who hasn't placed outside of the top 8 between this season and last. She's consistent. Maybe not a threat to the podium all the time, but never at the bottom of the result list either.
And and she's capable of making the podium. We've seen that before. She's a great diver.
All right, listen to the crowd on this one. When they announced Stella Forsyth, the 17-year-old Aussie, in her Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series debut. Here we go. Let's get to know her a little bit.
No, look, so Stella, she's from Brisbane, from my hometown. And we actually built this 2-meter structure so we could get it up to 12 meters. There it is there in Brisbane. And then she did the high school, the Red Bull High School with the Orlando Duque, where she started to work her way up to 15 meters and 20 meters, spent a little bit of time in Fort Lauderdale. And here she is, putting a full list together.
I jumped the gun a little bit there.
Yeah. There's her mother, Merwin. Her biggest fan, no doubt.
Just a nice young lady. Met her a couple days ago. You introduced me to her and her mother. Very excited to be here. Again, 17 years old, from Brisbane, Australia. Traditional diving skills were recognized by Coach Jeff Arbin, who is on today's judges panel. Good eye, Jeff.
Absolutely. But the family actually moved from Melbourne to Brisbane. They really liked the idea of training with some of the coaches up there in Brisbane. And her younger brother, he is a fantastic young diver as well. So I'm trying to poach him and pull him out of diving and put him into cliff diving.
Safety divers down below doing their job. Critical part of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. And there's the wind. Wow. How do you, Joey, how do you do this? You're coming in, it's your first time ever on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. You're with the biggest names in the sport. You're on this platform, 21 meters, 70 feet, and it's windy.
And it's funny, she's so honest with her feelings before the competition. She's like, Joey, I'm so scared. You're supposed to be. And here she is, in the triple half. Okay, she's taking a moment as well. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Certainly not an easy entrance with conditions like these for her first ever competition. It's okay, you take a beat, you take your moment, you reset.
We've all been on a balcony, 5 stories, 6 stories, 8 stories up, even with railings and it's windy, and you still get nervous.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's interesting. You can feel it's very windy down the bottom. Once you actually start going further up the tower on 20, 27 meters, I mean, it's exponential. It's much windier up on the platform. 35, almost up to 35 kilometre hour gusts. Really picking up now. I think it's just slightly calmer than the previous dives, and I think it's just started to increase a little.
We have our own David O.C. down there too, giving us updates on some of that wind. He said it's like 46 kilometers per hour are the gusts that are rolling in.
And the challenging part with the front and inward dives, when you put your arms above your head, I mean, you just turn into a sail, right? You've just got more surface area that literally starts moving you.
Beautiful form in the air by the 17-year-old Aussie.
And Mum goes wild. That was incredible. I mean, she picked a moment once that wind came back down. She's like, right, I'm set. I'm going to do this. Fantastic. I mean, she's just dove so well across all 4 of these dives. In front of the home crowd, busting out the triple half. Beautiful form in the air. She's so elegant, well-controlled Barani. And she really was holding on at the end of the dive. It looked like she might over-rotate, but she stretched the end of the dive out. That's the pike position. Coming out here, she's so graceful in the air. And the thing that has impressed me that I've really liked to watch is just how quickly and how easily she's adapted to this sport. And that doesn't come too often. She just intuitively knows how to adjust when she's too fast or too slow. Merowyn, her mother, cannot believe how well her daughter is diving.
Judges weigh in the high and the lower toss, so she'll drop a 7.5 and an 8. The remaining 3 multiplied by the degree of difficulty. Bit of congrats for Maria Paula Quintero, 80.50 on that dive. You add all 4 rounds together. Forsyth, the 17-year-old, 288.60 puts her in a 3rd place.
Mind you, that's only like 4 points behind the current leader right now, Hayley Carpenter. So pretty impressive lower degree of difficulty and just diving out of her skin.
Santi Panizzi next to dive for the women. Our host city, Sydney, Australia, Joey. A lot of people live here.
Oh, it's a big city. Pretty big. It's a beautiful city. That's the thing I like about it.
More than 100 beaches, surfing, kayaking, scuba diving, all kinds of great stuff. Hosted the 2nd World Series finale. One of the first cities to celebrate New Year's.
That's right.
Besides New Zealand, you were telling me earlier, Joey.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful city. And of course, the Sydney Opera House, one of the most well-known buildings in the world, as the backdrop. So I talked to Santhia yesterday. Said you're going to have some friends and family. She said they're going to be all in red T-shirts, and you'll hear them because there's about 30 of them.
I think it's almost close to 40. It's quite an entourage, and a big entourage for Stella Forsyth. So all of the divers have been flying in from interstate, from Melbourne, from Brisbane, some even from Perth to come and watch the competition. So it's great to see the local diving community supporting all the athletes here for the final stop. Santi Panizzi about to do her running takeoff. So forward 3 somersaults, 1 half twist pike. It'll be a little easier doing that running takeoff.
Just to add to some of the stuff and highlights of this city, but she is from Brisbane, nearby, and of course host of the future Summer Olympic Games. Maybe high diving or cliff diving will be there. I know you're pitching for it, Joe.
We hope so. We've got the weather for it. We've got the backdrop. Now we're set for Santi Panizzi.
So a good running takeoff by Santhia Panizzi, the 25-year-old. Friends and family love it.
And a fist pump and a huge smile.
I've been really impressed with her season, Joey, just in terms of how she's handled and managed the psychology of the sport. Everybody thinks, oh, you have to be strong, physical, kind of crazy in cliff diving and all that stuff, but not really. I mean, it's a big mental game, as you know. She pulled out of one competition in Oslo, took a little break, saw sports psych, got things together. Now she's diving great.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, she had to walk off the platform. She couldn't even get the dive done. Came back, took a reset, didn't do some competitions. But when she came back with 2 new dives. Well, one that she'd already done once or twice before, but the running takeoff was a new one, and she also did an arm stand. I mean, I was so impressed that she did those new dives and came back and dove so strong.
Well, in Turkey, she was 6th after all that.
Yeah.
Comes in with a 92. That's the yellow right there. That's that particular dive score. Moves into the lead. The Aussie Xanthia Panizzi, 305.50. So breaking the 300 mark. And she is 6 to go of 11 divers in this women's 4th round.
And they, of course, train together. Oh, wow.
In the interview, they said that my mum was crying.
My mom was crying.
Of course she was crying.
So there you go. Panizzi on the top of the leaderboard at the moment with that 305. Carpenter in 2nd. Quintero of Colombia in 3rd. So still to drop. Judy Van Kadvik, Cassetti, Leadhead, Chuviniska, and of course, the great Rhiannan Iffland.
James, I love you.
Last.
Enjoy the wedding.
Gotta love the emotions after the dive, right?
Judy Van Kadvik of the Netherlands, wild card diver. Special moment, actually, she got engaged to Matt Cooper here 8 years ago. Matt Cooper, a wild card diver on the series, also coaches her, but got engaged right here near the Sydney Opera House.
Oh, look at them cute little cheeks of Matt. Look how young he
Matt.
looks.
Yeah, Matt looks like a little baby boy there. There he is. He still looks like that.
He's looking good. He's holding up well. Good skincare.
Well, congrats to them. But Jeannie Van Kadvik, what an impressive season. Only her 9th appearance on the World Series. She landed on the podium in Northern Ireland with a 2nd place finish there. Talk about somebody who knows how to deal with the elements, too. The cruise ship diving she's done, the shows, the exhibitions, very diverse diver.
And on those cruise ships, they have a diving shows, and sometimes they have these platforms. But actually, sometimes the cruise ship, right? You get some waves and swells, and it goes back and forth. So she can high dive and cliff dive and wobbly ladders. She can do anything, right? Here she is. She's going to mark out her run up. Okay, so you need to mark it out to make sure you get that distance right, because you want to land on as close to the end of the platform as possible. If you land too far back, you can get in a lot of trouble and come close to the platform, but you don't want to go too far and do the 1-foot miss either.
And in terms of the points, by the way, she was sitting in 4th overall, leading into the last stop in Turkey, but posted a 10th place finish there, the lowest for her this season. Then she dropped to 6th in the World Series points entering this stop. So the good news, Joey, that she's only 6 points from 3rd place overall, and Kaylee Arnett not having a great competition. So an opportunity here for Jeannie to move up and possibly earn a permanent diver spot for next year. We'll get into more on that. But the top 4 in the World Series points for both the men and the women will get permanent diver spots for 2025. So great running takeoff, a bit of a splash on that. Good time to get into the splash talk, Joey.
I don't mind a bit of splash talk.
Splash talk.
Bit of kaploofing at the end.
See Olympic diving, they watch this diving, all very similar. You can be really clean in the air, good takeoff, all the stuff, check all those boxes, but when you have that little bit of a splash, tells the judges what?
It is actually more about the line. I mean, but the splash does play into it, right? And when you see those impressive rip entries, when I say a rip entry, cutting through the water with no splash, that's a great way to impress the judges. But ultimately, it's about the line through the water. Is it under-rotating? Is it over-rotating? In this case, it's called over-rotating. She's just gone past that vertical line, which is very easy to do. And that is why it's crucial to get the takeoff right and the come out right. So here's the takeoff. The arms above the head to help generate rotation. There's the twist, and then coming to the pike. I'm just going to look at where she came out here. She came out okay, so maybe she just had a little bit too much rotation at the beginning or on the takeoff, and that caused that over-rotation. Sometimes you can hold on to that position too long, and then you can over-rotate as well. But the point is, you've only got about 2.5 seconds in the air, traveling at 71 kilometers per hour, making those adjustments. It just comes up so quick. It really surprises you when you come out of the dive, like, whoa, I've got no time to react.
Keep a bunch of sixes. So 72 in yellow on that dive. All 4 rounds are added together as a reminder. So 287.90 for Jeannie. And we talk about the qualification system for permanent divers next season. 4 men, 4 women on the overall World Series points after today's final will earn positions for 2025. The remaining 4, there's 8 permanent divers that are invited every season, and those, Joey, will be determined on other events and rankings. What do you got? Oh, a little chamois toss there.
A little chamois and shoe tossing.
Those new to cliff diving, Joey, tell us what the chamois is for as we look at Oleksiy Cassetti.
So the chamois is for drying off the legs. And when you're rotating in the air, it can be possible to slip out in the middle of the dive. Like if your legs are wet, let's say if you have a bit of sunscreen, you can slip out. And that does happen from time to time. Some of the athletes like to use a kind of a resin, which makes the shins and the hands a little tacky, so you can get extra grip. You need that when you're diving from 21 meters.
All right, so Oleksiy Cassetti, the 22-year-old, in her 13th start on the World Series, hit the podium in Oslo, Norway this season, placing 3rd. Tons of potential, Joey, and we talk about the wildcard divers, new faces. She is one of them. She will definitely be a threat on the series in the future. Great diver.
And fantastic style as well, particularly that last part of the dive. And that's the thing I love about watching cliff diving. Everyone has their own recipe, let's call it, their own way of doing things as well. So the sport is also combining different disciplines. It can be stemming from diving, some from sports acro, and trampolining with that front somersault, the half twist that we're watching right there, is a really important skill to master, and that's why Rhiannan Iffland, for example, is such a successful diver. It's combining diving headfirst with those feet-first acrobatic landings.
Bunch of 7s up there. She comes from a family of football players, or soccer, if you will. Father, mother, her grandfather, Claudio, played at a high level of soccer. 78 on that dive in yellow. Moving into 2nd with a 299.25 behind Xanthia Panisi. Not competing. There's Molly Carlson right there. She has a knee injury. Nothing major, just taking a little time off, playing it safe. She's already locked in 2nd place for the 2024 series. Looking on to her friend and teammate, fellow Canadian Simone Leadhead.
Yeah, we're definitely getting towards the pointy end now. 3 more divers to go. Simone Leadhead needs 7s to move into the lead. Xanthia Panisi holding the lead right now.
Talk about that race for the permanent diver spots for next year, trying to get into the top 4 in the World Series points after today. Simone Leadhead sitting number 4, so she's on the bubble right now.
Yeah, very close behind Kaylee Arnett. So Kaylee with 54 series points and Simone with 52.
Simone's had some strong World Cup results too, though, to help her, right? If she doesn't place in the top 4 after today, there's other opportunities.
Excellent point.
Oh, there it is. Got a little glimpse of the King Kong trophy. There it is. Here we go. I just saw it.
Here we go. Just a reminder, so 7s for Simone Leadhead to take the lead. So 7s from the judges. Needs 79.70. Just a little step back on the platform. The wind. You can see the waves actually slapping against the cliff walls there.
Coming off that 3rd place podium finish at the last stop in Antalya, Turkey.
Also hit the podium, as you mentioned, in the World Aquatics event in Bahrain. Back in form right now. Okay, familiar story. The wind being the common denominator. The athletes stepping away.
Looking down, beautiful in the air. Whoa, come on!
Simone lead head.
That's how you get it done right there.
Dropping into the harbour. Polishing that entry off.
Came out blazing hot. Steph loves it. Aiden Heslop, we'll see him shortly. Trying to earn a King Ka Keeley trophy. But wow, what an outstanding dive here, Joey. Love it.
Superb takeoff. Beautiful position in the air. A seamless entry. Hey? Leaving nothing but a drop behind. Excellent technique on the takeoff. Really powerful. The thing that I really enjoy watching her is just that confidence on the platform. Once she'd reset after being pushed around by the wind, she got up there, did that 5 count, and she talks about that. She likes to get on the end of the platform, doesn't like to think too much, does that 5 count, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go.
With only 2 divers remaining, if she pulls into the #1 position right here, no matter the results of the next 2 divers, she will earn a permanent diver spot for 2025. She's locked it in. 325.25. Lead head. Not only securing a podium here, but securing a spot for next season. That was a big moment for her.
How cool is that?
And look at Rhiannan Iffland.
Looking cool, looking cool, looking calm.
Got my trophy coming. I'm gonna get it later.
Who's got the trophy?
All right, how about this diver right here, Joey? 17-year-old Nelly Chukadevska, the youngest in the field of divers today, male or female. Just a little bit younger than Stella. Just pointing down to the water, telling what the safety divers where to be positioned.
Exactly. There's her coach, Oleksiy Prygorov. Giving her some final instructions before the dive. And as we were talking about this earlier, she's in the running to take her first ever podium. Another potential wildcard podium finisher. And she's going to need pretty big scores. If she wants to take the lead, she's going to need some 9s from the judges. But she can still make the podium, potentially.
For the 17-year-old. Joey, what did you see in that dive? It didn't look as normal to me as like during her training rounds or yesterday.
That's right, and the expression from her coach, Oleksiy Prygorov, said a lot as well. It was like, obviously not elated with the dive, but what I did notice is that she came up short of verticals. That's diving terminology for not quite finishing the rotations. So spinning in towards the platform here, and the dive can get quite heavy if you don't have enough over rotation. She really stretched out a little early. You can see it better from this angle. Arms popping above the head, throwing like a soccer ball to generate the rotation. Really nice takeoff. Beautiful form in the tuck. Coming out. There's the briny. She's bending at the waist, and then she just lifts a little early here and just leaves it a tad short of vertical. But again, reiterating, you've only got split seconds to make those adjustments. That's what this sport comes down to, around about 2.5 seconds.
Launch is 7:77.70. So Chukadevska, 3:06.90, put her in a second. So a podium spot, the first of her World Series career at 17 years old.
Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow.
So the youngest to do so on the women's side, grabbing a podium spot on the World Series for the 2022 Junior World High Diving Champion. Excellent.
Emotions running high here in Sydney for the finals. It has been the season for the wildcards, no doubt. 6 different wildcard podium finishes, but now it's all about Rhiannan Iffland.
Rhiannan Iffland, who secured her 8th consecutive King Kakili trophy on the last stop in Antalya, Turkey, where she had enough points. There you go, lead head guaranteed a podium along with Chukanievska. Lead head guaranteed silver at worst. Chukanievska right in the mix. So now we'll check out Rhiannan Iffland. It's funny, I spoke with Rhiannan yesterday. I said, what do you like about this venue? I was trying to get some information on her about the venue. You know what her response was? She's like, you know what, Trace? I like this venue because it's only 20 minutes from my house after the after party.
Beelining it.
Nothing about diving. Nothing about anything.
A location of convenience. Yes, she does train here in Sydney.
It's 20 minutes away from the after party.
That's the best answer I've ever heard in my life.
48 podiums out of 50 starts, 96% podium strike ratio. 40 wins out of 50 starts. The greatest female cliff diver ever on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series.
They get some 6.5 and 7s to win.
And the great Rhi does it again. She has come a long way, Joey Zuber, since her first victory at the age of 24 in 2016 on the day she made her debut on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series.
And Trace, you and I were commentating that event in 2016, and we said, can you believe it? Winning her first competition as a wild card. And 8 King Kakili trophies later. Here we are, folks. Ramping up the crowd.
Make some noise.
Man, how good must that feel to be Rhiannan Iffland right now? Crushing the entry on her 4th and final dive. Home crowd. That's how you do it, folks. What a way to finish the season. And it's been a big season. 8 competitions in total. We did have a little bleed over from 2023 into 2024 with the competition in New Zealand.
Look at that, beautiful. Right there with the Sydney Opera House in the background, so fitting for the Aussie.
So stylish, so talented. There will be celebrations tonight. And the crowd goes wild.
And look at that.
Boom.
Some big,
4 9s.
big scores
Yes.
posted up for Rhiannan Iffland by our 5-judge panel. Iffland, 118, absolutely off the charts on that dive. 3:59.70, crushing the field. What a run for Rhiannan Iffland.
Shivers up here, inspirational athlete Rhiannan Iffland.
That was a penny my ear.
And congrats also to Nelly Chukanievska and Simone Leadhead for hitting the podium as well.
Remember, Joey, got to check all the boxes. Got to be consistent all 4 rounds of diving. Beautiful day just 2 days ago during her first round, and then here's the second round.
And if
yesterday.
winning the competition was enough, hey, she wants to win that, just that extra series point, just to be on the safe side, right?
Yeah. It's like,
So she
they're like, can I just have 1 point?
Yeah, come on, just give me one more.
Something, Reed.
Just to cap it off. Fantastic.
Here's round 2.
Round 2, so in with triple half. I mean, this is a dive, one of her signature dives, I would like to call it. I mean, on average, she just gets 9s on this dive. Beautiful tuck position once again, with one of the most iconic backdrops you're ever going to see.
Can't forget about the Harbor Bridge, too, back there.
It's pretty impressive, Sydney Harbour. When you're there, you don't realize how big Sydney Harbour Bridge is. Round 3. This is where the degree of difficulty started to step up with her running takeoff. And uncharacteristic entry there, so we're normally used to seeing her poof, disappear in the water, but no big deal whatsoever. And Rhiannan Iffland combining those 2 disciplines of diving and trampolining. She's a great surfer as well. All-round athlete. But this is the dive where she won the competition here at the final stop in Sydney. Back triple somersault, double twist, squeaky clean through the water. One of those athletes that just makes everything look so smooth, so natural, and so stylish.
All right, beautiful round. Love watching Rhiannan Iffland. David O.C. is waterside with today's champ and 8-time King Kakili Trophy winner.
Rhi, a massive congratulations, a fairy tale ending to an incredible season. How was it winning there in front of the crowd?
Yeah, wow. That was electric. I was looking out over the crowd and trying to ramp them up and take some energy from it. It was incredible. Look, I have to be honest with you. I was super nervous. I was super shaky up there, but yeah, what a way to end the season.
And it has been a long season, 9 stops if we include New Zealand. How have you kept up, both mentally and physically?
Yeah, look, it's difficult having that many competitions. You know, the highs and the lows. You know, you're riding that wave for all year long. I found it really important to kind of take a step back and then have a look at my world from the outside in occasionally, just to kind of reboot the mental focus and also, you know, try and keep doing things that I love throughout the season on the side of diving. So, yeah, it managed to work. It was tough to be consistent this year, and it's getting tougher and tougher, but it makes it more rewarding.
Amazing. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
I love you all.
41 wins, 49 podiums. She's up there with the greatest, not divers, we're talking greatest athletes on the planet at this point, Joey, right?
Stats say it all.
Yeah.
It was really interesting listening to her interview as well, just saying that she was really nervous before the dive. So she's human. She still feels it, you know. She's obviously the GOAT, the greatest of all time. But every time you get on the platform, you still feel that pressure. You still feel those nerves. And I just really like hearing how honest she is about the whole process. And, of course, as you also said, being a big season.
So there you go, Iffland with that 359.70 massive score. Simone Leadhead on the podium, securing a position for next year by being in the top 4 in the overall points for the 2025 series. And how about wildcard diver Nelly Chukaniewska? Her first World Series podium, and only at the age 17, the youngest to do so. Cynthia Panisi just off the podium. Great competition for her.
Yep, and Stella Forsyth doing very well as well. Very interesting competition, I have to say. One of the most interesting this season, without a doubt. But the new guard, huh? It's the year of the wild cards.
Who does the best dive go? Oh,
that's right, Rhiannan
Shocker.
Iffland. We thought it was actually going to be the round 1 dive to take that extra series point. But she had to do it in the last dive, you know what I mean? Just to show up a little bit. What a well-deserved dive. But that can come down to an interesting situation when you get those extra series points once you're at the beginning and the midway point of the season. So it was an interesting thing they did to throw that in the mix for the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series.
Well-deserved, Ray. And doing it here in Sydney, Australia. Close to her home. Look at that gap, 45 points in the overall ranking. So Rhi locking it down, Molly Carlson securing 2nd, Simone Leadhead with a permanent diver spot for next year, along with Maylee Carpenter doing a nice job getting up into the ranks. Excellent women's competition. Getting ready for the men as people congratulate Rhiannan Iffland. And I'll tell you what, Joey, it's been a season to remember for the men. Our Tales from the Cliffs features Great Britain's Aiden Heslop, who we'll see shortly. He's one dive away from possibly securing the King Kahkili Trophy. Can he pull it off? Here's what he had to say.
I started this sport of cliff diving 10 years ago now. This is a decade in the sport for me. This has been a dream of mine for such a long time, and to be so close and within reach of it is pretty crazy. I mean, being able to start with Red Bull as young as I did at 16 was a huge step in itself. And if you told me 10 years ago when I first saw this sport that I'd be standing here potentially with the King Kahkili Trophy this season, I'd be pretty impressed, I think. I'm definitely back here for some redemption. That event 2 years ago was pretty tough. I mean, being so close with Gary and Catalin going into that last event, I think we were separated by just 1 point each. And yeah, tough one to swallow that. I thought it was gonna swing my way, but unfortunately not. I remember watching Gary do his dives, knowing he needed 8s and seeing how well he did it, and I just kind of turned around and fell to my knees and had a little cry.
And Gary Hunt once again shows his greatness. That young Aiden Heslop knows exactly what just happened.
Honestly, at that point, that was such a stressful season. It was kind of relief, letting all the emotions out, and being able to congratulate Gary on his 10th World Championship at that point was huge. But it's mine this time. It's what I've dreamt about for years, you know? Honestly, in recent years, I've kind of, it's been a long time coming. I've missed out twice over the last 2 years. I've really been within reach and just not quite been there. It's gonna mean a lot. I hope so anyway. I mean, yeah. I've won the World Aquatics World Championships this year and got the medal, #1 in the world. It's a cool feeling, but Red Bull is where my passion has lied this entire time. So if I'm able to hold up that trophy at the end, I think it's gonna mean a whole lot to me.
Aiden Heslop wins the King Kahkili Trophy today. He'll be the 6th man to do so since 2009 and the youngest to win the prestigious trophy. All right, here's what went down in the earlier rounds. Love this dive by Nikita Fedotov right here, Joey.
Don't we love it? The boy's got his signature style on that classic flying front. Pops it up into the fly and then holds on to the right moment and drops into the harbor with a seamless entry. What a smoking dive. 4 9.5s from the judges in the running for that extra bonus point at the moment. Andrea Barnaba, round 2, backing up his exquisite execution and form that he found in Turkey. So 4 9s on this particular dive. So after round 1, or round 2 I should say, he was in the lead. Round 3 did have a bit of a technical slip up, so he's just pushed himself back into 5th position. But boy, oh boy, do I like watching this young man cliff dive. Can't wait to see him next season. Yeah. But how about this? The man who's currently in the lead after 3 rounds of diving, Ukraine's Oleksiy Prygorov. Definitely had a patchy season, but in the previous tour stop in Antalya, Turkey, he hit the podium for the 2nd time in his career, but now he's also in a situation, a potential situation to win the competition. But of course, Konstantin Popovic is diving well as well.
No doubt about it. Men's start list in the final. David Kulturi of the United States will kick things off. James Lichtenstein, who was in the lead in terms of World Series points and on his way to a King Kahkili Trophy 4 straight events during the season, and came into this, but not a great day yesterday, put him back in the rankings. So his chances very slim to win that trophy. And so there you go, the top 6. The final divers led by who you just saw, Oleksiy Prygorov. He will dive last. Beautiful day in Sydney, Australia for stop number 8 of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. I'm Trace Worthington alongside Joey Zuber, and thanks for hanging with us so far. Great women's competition. Rhiannan Iffland winning it and winning her 8th consecutive King Kahkili Trophy. But now it's time for the gents to get things done. 12 men. Kicked off by 35-year-old Dave Kulturi. He's in 9th in the World Series points. Told me he's, a tough season. Injuries, got that shoulder thing going on there. his other shoulder. You know, he had problems with last year. So, but Dave, great guy, trying to soak it all in, do his best here, muscling through it. Guy who dove for Purdue back in his NCAA days before entering the world of cliff diving.
So speaking of his shoulder as well, so he's had 2 shoulder operations. So David and I both had our injuries, and we both had shoulder surgery within 2 days of each other, and they're very painful operations to recover from.
Just a reminder on this men's platform, Joey. Yeah, we're going up 27 meters, 90 feet above the Sydney Harbor.
Now we're getting up there, almost 3 times the height of the Olympic high board, which is 10 meters, 33 feet.
Throw in some gusts of wind. Oleksiy kicking it off for his final dive. Remember, 4 rounds of diving. This is number 4. All of them count. So Oleksiy, a little bit of a heavy landing on that, as you like to say, Joey.
Yeah, and he was saying that he was really feeling the impact on the water. He was talking about, I was actually asking him, like, because sometimes when you hit the water, or some locations, you have softer water, harder water. Depends on the, whether it's salt water or fresh water, or if it's cold or warm. And he said it feels pretty strong, like it's a pretty tough impact. But he also said because of his injury at the moment, like he's kind of bracing himself in a strange way through the water. So he really feels that rattle through his shoulder. I mean, that impact, right? So it's 85 kilometers per hour, 55 miles per hour, up to 10 G-forces. I mean, sometimes you just get ragdoll underneath the water.
Yeah, a lot of people ask us, Joey, all the time when, oh, you're commentators for cliff diving. Do those guys get hurt all the time? And, there's some crashes every now and then, but these guys are pros. But a lot of the injuries are just the wear and tear of the long season, just being in the sport.
Repetitive strain injury, like many of the sports, it's particularly with a season like this where you've got 8 stops. You can see him shaking off that shoulder there. He's definitely wincing about that. So he might have to have surgery on that arm as well a little later.
Well, Dave comes in with a 3:01.80, and you add all 4 rounds together. So that'll start it off for the men. 11 to go. Another American, James Lichtenstein. 30 years old, just turned, October 26th. Now he's ranked number 2 in the World Series standings. And as I mentioned earlier, he led the World Series for 4 straight stops after the second stop in Boston, where he placed second.
Yeah.
But then yesterday, it just takes one dive. An entire season and 4 dives per competition, Joey. All it takes is 1 to let that King Kakili trophy slip out of your hands.
And it was really surprising because he's been utterly consistent, hitting the podium 5 times. He's also had the win that he had in Oslo, Norway, and he landed in the water with his arms above his head. And that meant that he could only get a maximum score of 4.5 from the judges. So it was a penalty given. I was really surprised to see that. But that happens. That happens to the best of us, right? So sometimes things don't go to plan.
Is he doing his Quinn here?
He is.
Oh, this is fun. This is great. This is so much fun to watch.
Okay, back 5 somersault in the tuck position. Big deep breath. Big reset. This will make you dizzy at home. See if you can count the somersaults.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Lichtenstein, 5 somersaults. In only his 18th ever start on the World Series, 5 podiums, speaking of 5, including that first win, as you mentioned earlier, Joey, that took place not too long ago in Oslo, Norway.
Yeah, and then James led for 4 competitions. When I mean led, he led the series points. So he's had a fantastic season. A little disappointing, but he's getting ramped up before the dive. And we know he's going to reset and recalibrate. He's definitely a very calculated diver. He's always thinking about how he can improve, does a lot of analysis of the exact point where he needs to come out of the dive, does all these calculations of where he should be coming out at what split second. He's a very bright young man. And he'll be coming up to Brisbane soon. We've got this bungee rig on the trampoline. He wants to play around with some 6 somersaults, so a 6-tuple somersault. I'd love to see that in the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series one year.
Notre Dame student.
Nice job.
Big dive.
Hell of a year, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, really good.
Dave said, heck of a year, buddy.
Yeah,
He's right.
It has been.
318 in total. So that 114 in yellow, that's that score on that particular dive. Then we had all four together, you get that 318.
Yeah. I mean, although disappointing for that that competition in Sydney for James, but he should hold his head up high for how he performed all season.
Miguel Garcia, Colombia, 33 years old, celebrating his 35th start on the World Series. Saw him at the hotel yesterday, asked him what he likes about this area and this dive tower, as I asked Rhi, and they didn't really, never really answers anything about the dive tower. It's nice. They're like, it's the most stable that I've been on all year long, but he goes, I just love the Opera House in the background. That's what he said.
Yeah, a lot of it's pretty impressive. I mean, I was up there yesterday for the YouTube live, and you just get up there and the panorama, the feeling of being in the harbour is just incredible.
All right, Miguel Garcia, no splash on that.
Pounding the entry, Miguel Garcia.
Say it, Joey. Disappearing act.
The disappearing act into the Sydney Harbour there. There's
Miguel's wife, Silvana, is the mother of Maria Paula Quintero, the female diver who we saw earlier. So, obviously, Maria's stepfather. Very cool. Nice dive, nice entry.
He's a very lean and a very elegant diver, particularly when he does those dives in the pike position. Beautiful pointed toes. So inward triple half for Miguel Garcia. Just backing off the degree of difficulty a little in this particular competition. And in the off season, this is when the athletes will recalibrate and think about, what am I going to do next year? Am I going to try a new dive? What things do I need to improve upon? Is it the takeoff? Is it the entry? Is it the flight? That's the interesting time. You need to take some time off, especially after this season. 2 weeks, kick back, relax, but then get back to work.
He's ranked 11 in the World Series points, Joey. Just to go back into the qualification procedure for next year, the wild card diver positions versus permanent diver spots.
Proud of you. Nice job.
Top 4 men, top 4 women on the overall World Series points after today's final. They're all added together from all 8 stops in 2024. So 4 will automatically earn spots for next year. Now there are 8 total spots available, and the remaining 4 will be determined by a variety of other major events and rankings with World Aquatics and
World Championships, World Cups, and so forth. They all play a factor.
All right. Aiden Heslop, the guy in the running for the King Kyle Trophy. What an outstanding season with 4 wins coming into this final stop.
It was really interesting. I mean, he didn't do that well in the first competition in Greece, coming in 6th. And I was really impressed at how he bounced back. And when you start like that, you must be thinking to yourself, all those self-doubts coming, can I do it? But obviously, coming back strong in that midway point of the season, and particularly Antalya, Turkey, that's where he really punched forward and got that 16-point series lead ahead of James Lichtenstein. That's what he wanted to do. Let's give himself a more comfortable lead.
It's not over for him. I mean, it was. No. I mean, coming into this competition, Joey, it was over. But then all of a sudden, James got out of the mix. Costa had a good first 3 rounds. He's sitting in 2nd.
Right.
And then now he's coming into this final round at 9th.
Exactly.
I mean, like we
were saying before,
he's got to focus.
He's got a really big dive here. So front 4 somersaults, 3.5 twists. This is his signature dive, I like to call it. So he's the only man in the world performing this particular maneuver. Comes in first after this dive, he wins it. There's the heart rate, 134.
Oh, there it is.
Go.
There it is.
There we go. There's Helen. There's Tony, Aiden Heslop's parents. They know it.
That'll lock it in right there.
That's it.
He just couldn't place last. And that...
Oh, what a relief.
When he pulls into the lead here, no worse than 11th.
And I was actually talking to Helen and Tony when you're doing YouTube show with Molly, and saying that Aiden was really sore. Like his back seized up after the plane trip. He's had a lot of problems with his glutes. And he was really struggling, and particularly with these type of dives, these dives where you've got to do a lot of somersaults and twists. That's hard on the back. They've got to be so relieved. And as we talked about earlier in the show, the King Kaikili Trophy was almost in his hands in the year 2022. But Gary Hunt did an incredible triple quad, and he lost that chance. But now, 2024, it's a whole new year, and it's the year that he can hold that King Kaikili Trophy.
Just make it official with the 5 judges. Make sure everything is good. Look at that, posting up some big scores, bunch of 8.5s up there by the 5 judge panel. That ought to do it for Aiden Heslop.
God, you are such a loser.
The scores are in 144.55 on that. Runner up no longer. Aiden Heslop is a King Kaikili Trophy winner. It didn't come easy.
No, it did not. And he started young as well, right? When I saw Aiden Heslop when he was just 12 years of age in Wales, and he was idolizing all of the cliff divers. And he had his eyes set on the prize of being a Red Bull cliff diver. But it's just incredible to see him now holding that trophy. That little twinkle in his eye all those years ago, and realizing his dreams.
The youngest male or female in the history of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series since it began in 2009 to win the King Kaikili Trophy. Still some business to be handled here in the men's competition. A lot of permanent diver spots on the hook, especially for this guy, Jonathan Paredes.
And he's also one of the few men that have won the King Kaikili Trophy. He did that back in 2017.
Yeah. The last stop was his 75th start on the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series.
See the white caps picking up there. That was the reminder about how windy and choppy it is out there.
Whoa! Whoa! Bending the knees through the middle there, but saving it nicely. So Jonathan Paredes in his 4th round dive. Again, on the hook for that permanent diver spot for next season. 8 will earn spots, but 4 will secure a position after today. The top 4 in the World Series points. That's where he's hoping to be. Do not worry about anything.
Exactly. He got himself in a little spot of trouble on this particular dive. And watch here, the legs bending in the middle. And I suspect he would have done that because he would have been feeling like the dive was just rotating too slow. So you've got to get the finesse just right on takeoff. Not too fast, not too slow. Jumping there into the pike, into the twister. Watch closely. Watch the legs. Watch the legs right there. Okay, so that is called a break of position. Okay, and it's pretty interesting that he did that, right? And that break of position will come with some heavy deductions from the judges. You've got to keep the legs straight, okay? Because it's considered pike, that particular dive, where the legs are in the pike position, and if you bend the knees, that's a break of position. He'll get some heavy deductions.
But even though you'll get the deductions, Joey, he's also saving himself, right? I mean, if he didn't make that adjustment, who cares about the points, right? Things could have gone disastrous.
Excellent point. That is a really good point, Trace Worthington, because if he didn't do that, let's say like he kept his legs straight and he was really feeling too slow on the rotation, you can have a bad landing.
Right, so sacrifice the points.
Exactly. You can be carted off in the ambulance. I hate to say it like that, but that's the truth. Again, 27 meters up, 90 feet here in the Sydney Harbour for the finale of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. You can see those platforms off to the left. You've got a 5 and a 10 meter. They're lead-up platforms to help the athletes get warmed up before the competition.
We saw Nikita Fedotov, the leader after the first round, that beautiful dive, super high score. Now he is diving 6th. Got to be consistent all 4 rounds. Fedotov, 29 years old, from Armenia. Currently 7th place in the World Series standings. For the first time in years, Nikita is in jeopardy now, Joey, of earning that permanent diver spot for next season.
Some big dives earlier in the season. He did back arm stand 4.5 pike, which is the highest degree of difficulty dive. Came up very short and had a bad landing on that, as did Captain Predator. So all the athletes are really starting to push the limits, and sometimes you hit the ceiling, you get to bounce back down again, recalibrate. Very windy once again. This 27-meter tower. Whoa! Listen to those gusts.
So up to about 46 kilometers an hour. Harbor Bridge in the background, one of the tallest and longest steel arch bridges in the world. It's an amazing setting for these divers, but that wind, oof. Joy, what's it like for you to be diving in the wind back in the day?
I hated it.
Didn't like it, huh?
Particularly on these dives, I would always, they laughed at me because I was always doing the moonwalk. I would turn around halfway down and then just shuffle backwards. Because it's really scary once you get your feet half on, half off. That feeling of overbalancing and losing your balance. And if you do that, you can start cartwheeling off the platform, and you can be like a race car tumbling and crashing down the race course, like you see in the IndyCar when those cars tumble head over heels.
Fedotov commits to that dive right there. Great adjustment. You know, when you and I were talking to him, he said the biggest part about this sport is the mindset. Right?
Yeah.
So not only the mindset, just when it's sunny out with no wind, imagine when there's all these big gusts.
Yeah,
It becomes a whole new level.
And he's had a pretty tough competition here in Sydney. Actually, when he was doing his training dive, he was doing a reverse triple-triple. And he hit the platform, so he had to recalibrate, get back on the horse. So here's his back triple-triple this time. But a pretty nice dive, a little hunch, just a little bit of a splash on the entry. And again, those minute details you've got to get just right. You've got to be absolutely vertical to make sure you can get that rip entry. It's coming around here.
New viewers always ask us, Joey, why feet first, right?
Excellent question. As you would see in the Olympics, right? They go head first, and that's from 10 meters. That's 33 feet up. But the impact at 85 kilometers per hour is just too much. I've seen some athletes accidentally go head first and they broke their wrist, right? So that's the reality. You're risking injury. You maybe could do it once or twice for a one-off for a movie or something like that, but doing it repetitiously, forget about it. No way. You can see that bandage on his leg as well. And that's what it does to the body, landing feet first, right? You have knee injuries, leg injuries, groin injuries, so it's just too much for those head first impacts.
3:38.55. Jonathan Martinez, one of the wildcard divers. I tell you what, wildcard divers have been wild, smoking it all season long, right? Including Yolo Martinez, Barnaba, and the boys.
And being party spoilers, where he knocked James Lichtenstein off the podium. How about Kaylee Arnett with 2 back-to-back second-place finishes? That was Boston, her first ever Red Bull Cliffdiving World Series competition, and hitting the podium and then backing it up in Polignano Armani as well. And then Andrea Barnaba diving out of his skin, scoring a bunch of 10s during that competition, taking 3rd place. And in total, yeah, we've had 6 now,
yeah,
including Nelly Chukuniska. So 5 different podium finishes.
You include her today.
Yep.
Good point, Joey. Yep. Hitting the podium box so far this season. So a lot of the veterans of the sport kind of like, whoa, hey, wait a second.
Yeah.
I might not give those hints and ideas and tips to these youngsters anymore.
Exactly. And then, and then Andrea with that 3rd place finish pushed James off the podium, and that's how Aiden Heslop pushed ahead.
But here's the deal with Yolo Martinez. Jolotol, but we're going to call him Yolo because it's easier for me to say. Top-ranked wildcard diver in the World Series point standings. But he's ranked 5th, Joey. He's 2 points ahead of Johnny Paredes, 3 points in front of Oleksiy Prygorov, who we'll see dive last. To move into the 4th, he's trying to get that permanent diver spot. He would need to win, and Carlos Jimeno would need to be last. So very unlikely, but the most part, with the other events, he'll probably earn a permanent diver spot for next season anyway.
Pretty impressive considering he didn't do all of the tour stops this season.
Beautiful in the air. Again, to the average viewer, new to the sport, you see the giant splash there on the bottom. But that, again, is just because it doesn't take much, Joey. You've dove before. Tell us how just a little bit off you need to be to create that big splash. Not too far, right?
Not much. And the other thing is when you do that, you feel it. Like if you're just the smallest degree off that vertical line, particularly when you're landing short of vertical, you can get a real big uppercut. When you're over rotating, you kind of get that whiplash feeling, right? You know, like that head just sort of whips back through the water. But let me start with this. Incredible elevation and takeoff. When he took off, I thought, wow, he might actually have this. Looking at the pipe, a little bit of a bend in the knees, but he hit it well with the arms. And then just coming around here and just over-rotating, just staying a little hunched. Just looked like he needed to stand up a little taller. Looked a little bit loose through the water, so it's really important you have really good, strong tension. You've got to be like a knife, right? You've got to literally cut through the water. If you're a little bit loose, it goes kaploof.
Said what scares him most is diving straight from the 27-meter platform and the weather. So obviously with that wind today, sure played a factor for the youngster at 21 years old.
The Mexicans, they don't like the cold either. They're warm-blooded.
It's pretty interesting to kind of remind the viewers, Joey, of like, you know, there's not like a bunch of waves rolling in off of the ocean. That's just created kind of soupy water and waves from all the ferry boats and all the boats rolling in. 5 divers to go. Heslop leading the charge with his 365.15. So there you go, Barnaba. Still the drop. Prygorov leading after 3 rounds will dive last. Walking up to that platform, very long walk. There's no elevator here as we look at young Andrea Barnaba.
Barnaba, yep.
And this was yesterday. This was pretty interesting right here, Joey. Break this down.
Exactly. So he was about to dive, and then he decided to step forwards and then recalibrate. Like he just may have got a bit nervous or something would have happened. He put his hand up to the judges and said, I need a moment to reset. But he got a 2-point deduction from the judges because it's considered a balk. Now, you can put your hand up when it's super windy, when it's challenging conditions like today. But yesterday, it was not windy. And basically, the decision was, no, you're going to get the 2-point deduction. And that is in line with the sport of diving. You know, like say you're in diving competitions, I've seen it. It's happened to me before. You balk, you lose your balance, you step forward, that's it. Doesn't matter, you get a 2-point deduction.
He was leading into that 3rd round as well. I mean, he could have had this competition won just if that didn't happen.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
or in contention for the podium because he scored 8.5, but with the 2-point deductions, he ended up with 6.5. So a tough lesson learned for Andrea Barnaba, but that's okay. He's young. He's got time to come. Now he's just directing the safety divers. So some of the athletes like the safety divers in a certain position, and they also splash the water to help them see the surface. It won't make it any softer, not from 27 meters.
Now the water depth, 6 meters, 20 feet. So not all that deep for the divers. Nobody's hitting the bottom. That's to make sure that areas that accommodate the sport.
On a good entry, if you're wondering how deep they go. So they go about 4 to 5 meters on a good entry. When it's not such a good one, not so deep. Some gusts picking up almost to 30 kilometers per hour again. It's easier when it's more of a constant wind, but when it gusts, it's harder to hold the balance.
Just love his form in the air. And Molly Carlson is not competing because of her knee injury. She was in the booth with me commentating yesterday. Joey, you were out by the water, and Molly was just so impressed with Barnaba and in the fact that how flexible he is in that pike position. It's absolutely nuts.
I mean, it's just like grabbing a piece of paper and just folding it, and you'll see it in the replay. Very flexible, very stylish, very talented. So here's the quad half, throws the arms, and this is the pike position. Look at that. Absolutely flatten that pike, coming out super early. But the good news is he's just playing it safe. He's doing easier dives so he can really dial it in and gain that experience and understanding how to control the bottom of the dive. Exquisite form, exquisite height. Get out of town. You're just showing off. Andrea Barnaba. What an athlete.
Junior world champion. We're not competing or training. Loves to hang out with his buddies.
Oh,
Playing video
great
games.
scores. Yet
Big
again.
nines. Nice job. 9.5 in there, too, by Antonio Martinez, the Mexican judge.
9.5 from the judges. Moving into second position.
Loving it. 111 on that dive. Had all 4 rounds together. Barnaba of Italy, 3:59.70.
Sorry.
He would have been first without that deduction yesterday, as I told you, Joey. So
Kicking himself. Man. Anyway, that's the way it goes. That's the rules.
Heslop still leading the way with 3:65. Barnaba in second. Yolo Martinez in third. So Barnaba 8 to go of 12 men. Coming down to the wire. 4 remain. Carlos Jimeno. Love watching him dive.
Always exciting, right?
Just turned 35 on October 24th. Happy birthday, Carlos. He remains number 4 in the World Series point standings. Will most likely stay in that spot, which will, again, also secure his permanent diver spot for 2025. It's got to be a good feeling like any sport, right? It's like a quarterback position in football. Like you're the starting quarterback for next year.
Exactly.
Kind of relax.
You're not on the bench.
Well, you're not focusing on results anymore. You're focusing on how to get better physically.
I would just put him in the series with that new beard look he's got, you know, like just give him an automatic in. But let's talk about the dive. Let's get serious. This is a serious dive. Arm stand, back, 4.5 somersaults tuck. There's real-time heart rate. 34.
Whoa! Carlos Jimeno. Did you see that water come back up?
Red miles of fire.
That was awesome.
Yeah, you got that little mushroom cloud there on the entry.
Dave Colturi, he's liking it along with Aiden Heslop.
That's coming!
Love it. I bet Colturi's jealous of that beard that he's got rolling.
Oh, man. I live for those moments. I live for those reactions. Him and Guzman, they both have fantastic post-dive reactions. But there's a lot of, right? There's a lot going on in the mind before you do the dive. You always have that little bit of self-doubt. Can I do it? You know, will it turn out all right? You're always nervous. You always feel relieved after the dive when you land safely, but when you perform the dive well, it's just such a rush. I miss that feeling of competing, actually. I mean, it was just... If I think about some of the best moments of my life, you know, when I dove in Hawaii, actually at King Kaikili's Leap, that was one of the best moments of my life, hands down. And fantastic scores for Carlos Jimeno.
9s across the board. He'll drop the high and the low, so he'll keep 3 9s. Jimeno shooting up into the lead with that 145 on the 4th round dive, 397.40. Carlos Jimeno leading the charge with 3 men remaining.
And that's his son up on that big screen there as well. Goes everywhere with him when he dives.
One for his boy.
We were talking about yesterday where he was keeping that picture.
The secret James Bond pouch in his bathing suit.
Wow. All top 5 finishes this season. Here we go. Konstantin Popovic making his way up. He will dive after Sergio Guzman. The dude works out like 23 hours a day. Even when he's walking up
on his holidays
platform,
yeah,
he's working out. All right, so Jimeno, see if he stays on the podium. Heslop in second, locking in the King Kaikili Trophy for 2024. Barnaba in third, and here is Sergio Guzman. We'll see if he listened to us earlier at breakfast, Joey.
Yeah, we will have a little
the
chat.
salsa dancer.
He said we miss the salsa dancing. Will he deliver?
Do some salsa dancing.
Or do we miss it?
We might have missed it.
They have their walkout music. Yeah, it's been and gone.
33 years old.
Yeah, digging the lobsters on the bathing suit.
Competed on the World Series since 2015. The stop marks number 41 since then.
If you wanted to actually move into third position, you would need 8.5 of the judges. So that high DD or degree of difficulty from Jimeno. Just giving him a good lead.
Oof. Almost slipped off. Sergio Guzman dropping into the Sydney Harbor. Sitting in a great position coming into this final round in the top 3. That's the best for him this season in terms of coming into the 4th round. Crowd going nuts. Great fans on hand today, by the way, Joey. Friday we had over 2,000 people, 15,000 on Saturday. 35,000 folks today coming out to watch the world's best cliff divers, and there it is, getting it pumped up. So over 52,000 people.
Hey, we just missed it, that's all. Thanks, Sergio. Okay.
I'm glad we still have an impact on these guys, just a little bit, right?
I'll buy him a drink later. Well, it was interesting. We were talking this morning and we were saying, wow, it was pretty patchy competition. You know, some of the big guns missing their dives. And he was like, people think too much. I try not to think when I get up on the platform. Big jump off the platform. What I did notice in real time, I thought he was a little bit slow. So he definitely did a good job just holding on a little bit longer, kicking right up to that vertical point. He's been really, really consistent this season. I'd like to see him do a back 5 somersaults, hey? Come on, I'm just throwing it out there, Sergio. Add another somersault to the repertoire.
Look at that. He almost came all the way out of the water.
Hey, he almost karate chopped that safety diver. Keep your distance after the dive.
Hopefully the sharks in the harbor didn't see the lobsters on his budgies.
There's bull sharks in here.
Bull sharks.
They can get a bit chompy, but no, we do actually have a little shark net, so electronic pulses.
All right, so Guzman will move into 2nd place.
Wow.
We'll see if that holds on the podium with 2 divers remaining, but Carlos Jimeno right there, giving Sergio a hug, has guaranteed himself a spot on the podium. All right, so Konstantin Popovich, last year's King Kong Keeley Trophy winner. We caught up with him about his thoughts about this season and coming in to here at the final stop.
Of course, for me, my saddest moment of this season was the Boston stop. Basically, I had 1 competition less, you know. I just got 1 point there, or 2 points. So it was not really in my power to do anything there.
I mean, this guy, we talk about, he's a machine. Konstantin Popovich. Now he knows that he can no longer win the King Kong Keeley Trophy. That now belongs to Aiden Heslop by virtue of his result earlier on. So the Romanian Shark, there's Aiden. The Romanian Shark said, I still want to win this final stop.
Yeah. Said
I want a high score.
Yeah.
Like, he still has these goals that he recreates. Like, I can't get the trophy, but I still can get the high score. I can still win this final stop.
Always determined. 2 wins this season. Looking for a 3rd. To put it into context, Konstantin will need 7.5 from the judges. This is an incredibly complex dive. Back arm stand, 3.5 somersaults, 3 twist pike, 5.8 DD.
Why is it not?
Popovich, very uncharacteristic on that entry. Beautiful in the air, as always, but came in pretty hot there. Joey Zuber, and you can tell us why. It's a little shaken up.
Well, it's a little difficult to tell. I mean, sometimes when you're in the air, like, you feel things. Sometimes you can feel like you're a little bit too slow. And what can happen, you might feel like you're too slow and you might hold on too long. Perhaps that caused the over-rotation. No, but it looked like it came out about the right spot. And maybe just need to have another look. Beautiful arm stand position. Bends the legs here, pushes off. The first somersault, wrapping 2.5 twists. And he digs deep here. Holding on. So yeah, he's definitely had some good rotation on the dive, and he's just overcooked it. He just stayed in that round shape. He really just needed to lift a little sharper, or perhaps come out a little earlier. And that meant actually he had a very powerful takeoff, but that's the way it goes. He gave it his all.
He's still guaranteed a top 3 in terms of the overall World Series points for this 2024 season, Joey. So no doubt, obviously, he'll lock in a spot for next season. 3:66.10. So Popovich will see the podium in second. But how about Carlos Jimeno in the #1 spot right there?
Yeah.
Wow, with his 3:97. So guaranteed silver. Now, Oleksiy Prygorov, final diver coming up. We have not seen him top seed coming into this final round, Joey. And he has had, as you mentioned earlier, a little bit of a roller coaster season, emotionally, mentally, physically, everything. And to see him podium in Antalya, Turkey at the last stop, seeing that confidence, just seeing him on the streets, talking to him the other day, he seems super confident. Now he has a shot at winning here in Sydney, which will be the first of his career, by the way.
He's got a big dive here. Running takeoff, running 4 somersaults, 2.5 twists. If he wants to jump ahead of Carlos Jimeno to take the lead or take the win, he needs 7.5s on average from the judges.
Joey, he's earned podiums. This is impressive. The Olympic Games, World Cup diving competitions, European Championships. He's earned medals there, and the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series. I don't think anybody's won that many different medals across all these different parts of the sport.
What an athlete. And the only Olympic medalist to be part of the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series as well, jumping up and down. With Oleksiy on the Gold Coast doing some training. We're working on this dive. It's very challenging to get the takeoff right with this running approach.
If he wins, he'll become the oldest first-time winner since 2009. That was back when his Andrei Ignatenko won.
Oh! Oleksiy Prygorov!
Could be it.
Whoa!
Come on!
Here we go, folks. Oleksiy Prygorov crushing the entry. The only ones with the power right now are the judges. Sitting down by waterside, Carlos Jimeno. The big deep breath going, here we go. Will I get bumped off?
Could this be Oleksiy Prygorov's first World Series victory? Wow, no holding back on this dive.
Little split of the legs, but boy, oh boy, did the dive go down a little bit short of vertical. He did a fantastic job pulling that water down, so it is a little bit short. The judges will look at that. The arms above the head, stomping on the tower. You've really got to get that heel drive. A little bit of a slight split of the legs. Get some deductions there. But this will be a very, very nervous wait for Oleksiy Prygorov as he sneaks through the water here in Sydney. All we can do right now is wait.
Oleksiy, you are the winner. 7.5 from
Last diver.
The
5 judges weigh in. 124.55. It's a Prygorov party in Sydney. 4:05.80. He's done it.
the final stop on the Red Bull.
That is incredible. I mean, you just couldn't script it. This is not how you would have predicted the competition to go. What a finale.
Prygorov, the oldest first-time winner since 2009 at 37 years old. Sends it, nails it, wins it. Wow. It's a guy, just a good dude. 3 days ago, Joey, you and I were sitting down in an establishment having some food. Oleksiy walked by, joined us, hung out, had a great conversation. Takes 4 consistent dives to win. And Prygo from Ukraine got it done.
And he put himself in a much better position to re-qualify for next year's season. But we'll wait for the results of that. But here's his inward double half as the sun shines on day 1 in Sydney Harbour. That's the required dive round, the more simple, graceful dives. Round 2, the intermediate dive. And this took place yesterday, arms up and just drilling the entry. And as Trace Worthington says, it takes 4 consistent dives. Beautiful half in. He's gained a triple full. Worked really hard on those entries. Almost over-rotating. Held the line. Slicing his way through the water. Round 3 yesterday. This is the high degree of difficulty dive. Boom. 3 great entries. Back to back. But coming into today, the 4th and final round, of course, the conditions a lot different, a little cloudy, a little windy, but he held his nerve to win his first ever Red Bull cliff diving competition win. Great job, Oleksiy Prygorov. I'm so happy for him.
Oleksiy Prygorov of Ukraine wins the final stop of 8 in 2024. And he's standing by with David O.C. Waterside. Hey, guys.
Oleksiy, a huge congratulations. You've just won your first stop. What does this mean to you?
It's incredible here in Sydney. I'm just 2 days ago or 3, I realized that Sydney is the best city in the world, and to win here at this harbour, Australian saying, so it's incredible. Till now I don't understand what's going on, and I cannot believe that it's happening. So it's amazing. It's difficult to describe right now, you know. I need more time to calm down, you know. No way, it's unbelievable.
A huge congratulations. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys once again.
What a day. Captivating and emotional for the 37-year-old Ukraine diver, Oleksiy Prygorov.
Actually, he used my one of my original songs for his walkout song, so a little bit of good luck there.
Oh, yeah, one of the songs that you composed, right?
Taking a little credit for that one.
So here you go, the men's final results. On top, Prygorov. Carlos Imeno with another podium. What a great season he's had.
Yeah.
And then Konstantin Popovic, the Romanian shark, the machine, on the podium once again. Guzman with a nice result in 4th place. Very tight between Konstantin Popovic and Guzman. Yolo Martinez, the young Mexican, still hanging in there tight. So there you go. All the way down to 12th place with Jonathan Paredes. Outstanding men's competition here. 8th stop of the 2024 season. A grueling season for all of the divers. Best dive, though. Our favorite, Nikita Fedotov, that first round dive.
Punching out the flying front. I mean, he just smoked it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was incredible. We're actually down by the waterside. We saw that dive, and it was just insane. The sound of it I mean, beautiful control there. It's just so elegant. But sometimes it's nice just looking at those simple, graceful dives, right? You know, just take away all the somersaults and twists. Keep it raw, keep it simple, keep it graceful.
So Aiden Heslop wins the King Kahekili Trophy for 2024. He is the 6th man to do it in the history of the sport since it began in 2009. Big names up there, Orlando Duque and Artem Silchenko.
Exactly, yep. Jonathan Perez.
Gary Hunt. And of course, Konstantin Popovich. Let's go back down to David O.C., who's with our King Kahekili Trophy winner on the men's side, Aiden Heslop.
Aiden, it seems a little bit deja vu, but with a very different outcome. How does it feel to finally win the trophy?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to even explain. I've been runner-up 2 years in a row, just so bittersweet every time, but to finally take home this trophy, I can't wait to stand on the podium with it, but this is so cool. I had a pretty rough day yesterday, managed to bring it back today, end with a bang, but the whole season has just been so good for me. I mean, so consistent, and I mean, yeah, came into this event with a decent lead and managed to stay on top. I'm excited to hold up the trophy now.
And I particularly want to ask about the last 12 hours to maintain that mental strength, to come back today and to nail that dive. What did you do?
Yeah, well, I went home yesterday and did a lot of calculations on the World Series, but yeah, I just tried to stay calm, have fun with it. That's when I dive best, is when I'm having fun. So I came into it with a positive attitude today. You know, it was unlikely that I wasn't going to get the trophy, but like I really wanted to hit that last dive. So yeah, I'm super happy to manage to get it done with a great dive to finish.
Amazing. Enjoy the celebrations.
Huge celebration for Aiden Heslop. Giving a big hug to Molly Carlson. She joined us late in the broadcast. She removed herself from the competition. Bit of a knee injury, nothing major. She took the event off. She secured 2nd place for the season. But here to support her boyfriend, Aiden Heslop, the 2024 King Kahekili winner.
Must feel so good, like he was talking about in 2022. He was just so close to holding that trophy. But to come away with the goods this time, well deserved.
So for this final stop, the celebration will begin here with Konstantin Popovich grabbing that 3rd place podium position. Carlos Zimeno, Spaniard, in 2nd.
Nice to see him back on the podium again.
Yeah. And once again, the winner, Oleksiy Prygorov, the oldest first-time winner since 2009, when his late great compatriot Andrei Ignatenko won the first ever World Series stop in La Rochelle at the age of 44.
Great start there.
Look at him, he's got his collared shirt on now. He's like, he's got off the golf.
Keeping it sharp.
Yeah, he just got off the golf course, won the won the final stop of the season. Prygorov, Jimeno, Popovich, men's podium.
Great to see Prygorov with such a great result. And as we were talking about earlier, it was a very challenging season. Had some hard hits. He's come back with a bang.
A thrilling moment for the gents here in Sydney. And as I said, Joey, the Prygorov party has begun. Those are usually big ones.
Absolutely.
Final results for the women again. Rhiannan Iffland winning it here today on her home soil, home water. Simone Leadhead. Chukadevska, the 17-year-old of Ukraine, getting it done, and her first World Series podium of her career. Just an unbelievable women's competition, Joey, overall and the men. Just dealing with that wind the entire day in the Sydney Harbor. Just warm weather, but boy, I'll tell you what, I'm impressed by all these divers.
Yeah, quite a contrast from yesterday's condition to today's condition. So well done to all the athletes for managing the weather and the wind today.
Over 50,000 fans throughout the last 3 days. Women's podium presentation. Chukadevska grabbing a spot on the podium. Simone Leadhead again.
Yeah, there's Molly.
There's Molly.
Ever present.
And there you have it. 8-time King Kahekili Trophy winner. And winner of the last stop here in Sydney for 2024. Rhiannan Iffland putting on a show. Mrs. Consistent. Iffland, Leadhead, Chukadevska, your women's podium, top 3 here, the final stop. The bubbly has been popped. The King Kahekili Trophy presentation momentarily, but first, Joey, let's just recap what an incredible season by Rhiannan Iffland, followed by Aiden Heslop.
Yeah, and it started with a bang actually for Molly Carlson. She won the first stop in Greece, in Athens, but then Rhi came back so strong and won every single competition. I mean, I just cannot believe how consistent she is. I mean, she's definitely got one of the best rip entries in the business. I mean, more consistent, I dare say, than Gary Hunt. I mean, just a phenomenal athlete. But we were talking about some of the slip-ups that she had, or one little slip-up she had just before the competition in Antalya, Turkey. And there was a lot of nerves, but she held it together and dove so well, and she, of course, secured the King Kahekili Trophy in Antalya, Turkey taking the pressure off herself.
You and I were pretty nervous for Aiden Heslop at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
He didn't have a great result. We were just like, uh-oh, that's not a way to kick off the season. But then everything turned around.
Yeah, coming back with 4 wins during the season. But that's a sign of a champion, right? Okay, you have a bit of adversity. You don't have such a great start to the season. You come back strong. But he's got that massive degree of difficulty. There's Aiden in Montreal after that big thunderstorm that we had, crushing the entry, Molly going wild. And Aiden actually training in Montreal, Canada. But this is where he really got that commanding lead. And Antalya, Turkey, so he got that 16-point lead ahead of James Lichtenstein, giving himself a bit of breathing room. And he really needed that, but it was looking a little shaky yesterday, as we were talking about. But with that 4th and final dive here in Sydney, he got the job done. And one more time, congratulations to Aiden Heslop.
You called it a long time ago when I saw him dive for the first time. The World Series. Actually, he was training at one of the World Series competitions. He wasn't even in it. You said, just keep an eye on this kid.
Yeah, watch out.
And then when he dove in his first event, he was like, I don't know, he was 11th place or something like that. I was like, oh, really, Joey? And you're like, no. He'll be hoisting up that King Kakili trophy before you know it.
Have faith.
Here it is.
Keep an eye out for Andrea Banaba as well, but it's all about Aiden Heslop right now.
Keeley Trophy.
8 in a row. Can you believe it? 8 in a row.
So prestigious, that trophy. Named after Maui's last independent ruler, who was famous for leaping feet first from a high cliff into the water without making a splash. Used cliff diving as a form of initiation for its warriors, and here are the 2 warriors for 2024. Where do you think Rhea's going to put that 8th trophy? She's going to need a bigger apartment. What she's got going on.
A bit like Gary as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's got one as a doorstop, one as a keychain. No, but she's got an impressive trophy cabinet.
Well, congratulations to them. Rhiannan Iffland, Aiden Heslop, but a big congratulations also to those who have earned permanent diver spots for next season. Here's your list. Iffland, Carlson, Kaylee Arnett's in, Simone Leadhead, Elisa Cassetti, Nelly Chukunievska, the 17-year-old, dropping into next season, securing a spot, and Maylee Carpenter and Jeannie Van Katvik.
Sneaking in there.
Wow.
Sneaking it in 8th position.
That is a great list of divers. So congratulations to the 8 divers who have earned positions automatically for next season. And for the gents, we got Heslop, Popovich, Lichtenstein, no surprise there. Same with Jimeno. But Yolo Martinez grabbing a spot. Oleksiy Prygorov, of course, but Sergio Guzman earning a permanent spot this year with a consistent season. And how about Andrea Barnaba of Italy grabbing a spot? That
incredible
is awesome.
There we go.
So this season is a wrap, and as we look towards the 2025 World Series, it's going to be fun. Quick appreciation to our entire crew and production team. You guys are awesome. Until next season, for Joey, David O.C., and all of us from Red Bull Cliff Diving, our entire family, thank you for watching as we leave you with some great highlights from this past 2024 season. So long, everyone.
What are you going to do at number 8?